Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It really has been a lovely show today and so cool to spend it in your company, the company of family, because you are our extended family. Now, on that note, since 1995, here in South Africa, the Monday after Easter is observed with a public holiday called Family Day, and it was established by the government to give people the opportunity to spend more quality time with their families by having a meal and going on holiday. And of course, we know that that in 2021, this is a little bit different.
Yeah,
life has changed just a little bit.
It has. So today we are asking the question, do you feel closely bonded with your family? Well, we have clinical psychologist Asha Dula back with us in studio to help us really unpack and discuss this. And, you know, we're also taking your questions and comments via our Facebook page,
Please,
but it's all about family today. Asha, so good to have you here on a Monday.
Good morning.
Asha, maybe let's prove your qualifications in this space, okay? Not in terms of what you've studied and how amazing you are as a psychologist and your intellectual birth, none of that. Let's talk about your own family. Do you come from a tight family? Do you come from a big family? What has your family experience been like?
Well, I've come from a big family. It's extended. It's been quite mixed. There's been joys and pains in the family. I think that is what family is all about. It's embracing both the good experiences and the challenging experiences, because those challenges actually bring us life lessons. And for me, I've realized that family teaches us the most valuable life lessons.
Well, I was about to ask you that. I mean, you said some great life lessons. How important is your family structure and dynamic going forward into your adult life? Like, what role does it play having that relationship or that bond with your family, and how does it manifest?
That writes the script for the rest of your life, yeah.
Absolutely. It's the blueprint that really sets the stage for future relationships with other in society, with your relationship, your marriage, your kids. Because, you know, we grow up, we come into a family, and it's our space where we spend most of our time. We grow up in our formative years. And when we look at family, it's not just family by blood. It's also family that's maybe by adoption, close family friends that can be seen as family, our neighbors, teachers, those all incorporate families. That's why so often we hear the phrase, you know, you are a brother or sister from another mother. So we need to think about family as all the influences that we've had in our formative years that have played a role, and definitely it rubber bands right into all our adulthood and generational as well.
That's been the great joy now, is watching how dynamics have changed since my children being the first of that new generation within the family, how that's brought two families together, how it's rewriting that blueprint, as you said. And I often think about what it's going to mean to them moving forward. How are they going to be different? How is it going to impact them? But I think it's brought us all closer together, and I'm starting to really understand, especially after this last year, how important having a close familial bond is. What are some of the benefits for having that close family connection?
Well, you know, if we have a close bond, it really gives us that sense of belonging, that sense of connection, that sense of autonomy. You know, when there's times of challenges, there's family that we can rely on for support, for encouragement, for affection. It also just extends to the good relationships. I mean, if there's one thing that makes every human being happy, it's to have a good family. Yeah. And we can really treasure the experience of a good family if we really have that.
And that is something that I realize as you connect with more and more people, that's not a given. Not everyone has that. Well, Asha Dulab's not going anywhere. We are continuing our conversation around family on this Family Day here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and thank you for choosing it on this Family Day. Now, it is Monday, and usually we talk all kinds of relationships, but today we want to ask you the question, do you feel closely bonded with your family? We are back with clinical psychologist Asha Dulab to unpack this topic. So to weigh in with your questions and comments, please head on over to the Expresso Facebook page. This is a very dynamic topic.
Oh, yes.
Because every family is dynamic.
Oh, yes.
And dysfunctional. Let's be honest. Come on, own it, people. Own it, okay? Families are crazy.
It's meant to be.
But I'm so unbelievably proud of my family, because when times are tough, we rally. That's the thing that it just, I'm blown away. And especially now that I've got kids, my family have just they've embraced that. It wasn't always like that for me and my sis. There was a time where I won't say we were rivals, but we were distant because we were just living two completely different existences. Now she is hands down my best friend. Like there's no one else that I can talk to in the way that I can talk to her. And she also understands me, so she knows. But so many families have the issue of sibling rivalry, maybe family members, they're born close together, maybe there's personality clashes. Why do we have sibling rivalry? Why is it such an archetypal storyline in movies, in books, in life?
Okay, so the way you've described it, where you and your sister is close and you rally up together, that is the way it's supposed to be. We come into this world as little infants, all from the place of peace. And yet, I mean, that's a seed of peace and harmony, but sometimes it can also manifest as a seed of harshness and violence towards each other and rivalry. And the reason being is that I think that there's a lot of factors such as comparison, competition, jealousy, judgment, that comes into play. Just the favorite, sometimes the siblings would be able to say, oh, no, this is the favorite child, I'm not. And if you think about the word brother and sister,
definitely not.
It comes with such an emotional response, the word brother or sister.
Yeah, for sure.
And we should really be nurturing that. Why does it happen? I wish I knew all the answers to it, but it's because I think that, we want people to behave in a way that makes us feel comfortable. And we need to acknowledge our brothers and sisters in their strengths. We are all unique in our families. I mean, every family, if you have 2 or 3 children, they are completely unique. And let's acknowledge each one's uniqueness and strength in the family, rather than looking at what do you owe me as a brother or a sister, or what is your responsibility. I think that our conditioning and our mindset all comes into play of how things should be.
And I suppose you can't choose. You're thrust into that family together, and you just got to deal with it,
But it always boggles my mind, because the whole time you were talking now about children and siblings, I'm picturing little people, but growing up, you still have your siblings. And it boggles my mind when, especially family dynamics, there's always these grudges. And I'm like, time is so precious. We're in a pandemic and people still have these grudges. Where, from a parent's perspective, especially at those younger years, when should they step in when they realize, hang on, our kids actually don't have the bond that's necessary to see them through their adulthood?
It definitely starts at the formative years. I mean, when parents can model what good communication is all about, respecting each other, loving each other unconditionally, supporting each other. Families are there to support each other. And it has to happen at the formative years in order for it to rubber band into the adult years. And so often with marriages already that come with a lot of challenges, that actually has a rippling effect when the children comes into the family as well. So it also starts with the unit of the marriage before the children come in. And good communication, EQ is very important. Everyone having to look at themselves in families and say, what is it that I can learn? What role am I playing? What are my expectations in the family? Because expectations is the biggest cause of disappointments in families. We expect our family members to be in a certain way to meet our needs. And of course, let everyone be free in their decisions and respect people's decisions.
Yeah.
I want you to think about when we need to draw a line. Maybe there's an opportunity here to look at it from a different side, to say that maybe we need to change or limit the amount of time and the impact of certain family members or family traditions. Maybe that struck a chord with you, but we're going to continue this discussion with Asha in just a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso on Family Day. So vital that we talk about family in our relationship chat with Asha. And we are asking you the important questions. Do you feel closely bonded with your family? Do you feel estranged? We are back with our clinical psychologist and good friend, Asha Dullab, to talk about this topic on Family Day. important topic any day, but today we are focused on those familial bonds. I asked you before the break to think about something regarding family. Yes, we want to keep those bonds close. If there's sibling rivalry, we want to make sure that that doesn't become an estranged relationship. When do we need to draw a boundary line? I'm sure there are a lot of partners going, I could do with a little less mom-in-law, dad-in-law. When do we need to draw a healthy line in the sand?
Well, I think that when we start feeling that energetically there's no blend between the family, you know, the member, there's times where you try and you communicate and try and make things, you know, to bring back the energy of the childlike curiosity, innocence, but when it doesn't feel right and it makes you feel uncomfortable in your family member's space, perhaps it's a good thing to step aside a bit and allow for growth to happen for yourself and for the other family member, because families are always changing. I mean, just like you described earlier on, at one point your sister and you were not connecting, and at a later point, all of a sudden, she's your best friend, because we're all going through our own stuff at different stages in our life. And perhaps at a different stage, you may reconnect with your family. But I think the most important thing is try and please yourself, because the minute you are trying to please everyone else, especially family members, you are pleasing no one.
Yeah.
So focus on yourself, make decisions that allow you to be free in your life. And sometimes that would mean to distance yourself from family if it doesn't feel comfortable. If it's causing you more pain and sorrow and despair, why not take a back step?
And it's not about shutting them out, it's just taking a step back.
Well, I was about to say, I know you asked the when do we draw the boundary, but now how do we implement it without offending them, or should you not worry about that?
I think that I think family members will feel offended, because when we are at that point where we are having to create the distance, it's already uncomfortable. And both family members already have a sense that there's this discomfort. So I think that it's unlikely that there'll be a conversation about the distancing. It kind of happens naturally. And I think the coming together also comes together at the right time. Just allow the space for growth and change.
Let's talk, because I would imagine this weekend a lot of family traditions have been picked up. When you pass the baton, when you have new family members, new children coming into the mix, new generations coming in, you know, how important is it for us to continue those family traditions? How do you know if something is right for your kids? You know, when is a tradition more a toxic thing? How do you kind of continue? Because I want that for my children as well. I want them to feel the same kind of family tradition and pass those on. And I love learning new family traditions from my fiance, and you know, love that continuation. But how do we manage that and know what's right and what's wrong?
Perhaps maybe taking the words out, right and wrong and good or bad, because I think those are the things that causes families to have conflict.
Judgment,
It's judgment. So perhaps just taking what feels right for you in your family that you grew up with, because we want to pull through those traditions that feel great, and that heritage and that intergenerational love and traditions. But at the same time, you want to also ask yourself, how can I do things differently in my family now? Things that I struggled with in the past in my nuclear family, what can I implement now that can make this family more unique, that fits with me? Because we all feel challenged by the disciplines, the rules and the requirements that our families impose on us through their perceptions of their life, and we want to break free from that. So ultimately, we want to feel free as human beings.
We do, definitely.
Love my family more. I feel more complex in the way that we live. Families are an amazing thing. They're a resource, but you also need to know how to draw the lines and govern yourself more than anything else in that family relationship. So take a good hard look at yourself, and also just take a moment to love and appreciate the family around you, because it is Family Day.